episode 128.
Are you ready to take your eBay business to the next level? Then hold on, because Ron and Ali are going to take you into the fast lane with the latest tips and insights from some of the biggest and most successful sellers here on the So You Want to Sell on eBay podcast.
Welcome once again to another episode of So You Want to Sell on eBay. I'm Ron LeBeau.
And I'm Ali Young.
Hey, everyone. We have with us Luke Deutschlander. How you doing, Luke?
Hey, pretty good, Ron. Thanks for having me.
Good, good. Hey, did I get your last name okay, or was I even close?
No, you got it just fine. It's Deutschlander. It's not an easy one.
All right, cool. So, Ali, you're in Thailand, and I know our listeners can't see you as bundled up as you are, but it must be like sub-zero temperatures there.
Yeah, I think
what is it, like 70 Fahrenheit?
Yeah, I think it's in the 90s at the moment, but yeah, I mean, it's cold. It's freezing. I was thinking of buying an Eskimo suit on eBay.
There you go. Well, all right, cool. So you're doing okay, Ali? That's awesome. So, all right, well, Luke is an eBay power seller known as the Wolf of eBay from how he got his start online. And Luke buys and sells, and now he teaches people around the country how to make money on eBay selling used smartphones and electronics. He currently sells about $25,000 a month on eBay. Luke, that's impressive numbers, man. Let's hear about it. What do you got going on?
I usually sell around 20 to 25,000 a month on eBay. It's mostly smartphones, smartwatches, iPads, electronics, and I buy any kind, new, used, cracked, broken locks. And a lot of pawn shops in my area, they don't even touch smartphones, so I basically have the whole market to myself, and that's how I'm able to do that.
Cool. I mean, that sounds great.
Yeah.
So where are you getting these phones from?
What I do is I have customers that I source them from off of Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace, Facebook groups. I've got my own Facebook group with 14,000 members in it that I made about 2 years ago, advertising there all the time. Mostly those places.
Oh,
awesome, man. Cool. So in the bio, it looks like you kind of had a rough start there. So tell us a little bit about how you got your beginnings here and what's that all about?
I kind of had a rough upbringing. My childhood wasn't so hot. My mom, she actually tried murdering my dad when I was a little kid, so that was terrible. They went through a 5-year-long divorce, and then, Dad got remarried, bad stepmom. I moved out of my house when I was 17 years old. The norm of my generation nowadays is live at home till you're 25 and through college. Well, I moved out when I was 17.
Wow. Okay. Well, I'm sorry to hear about that bad childhood, but you know what? We appreciate you sharing that story, because I'm sure there's others out there that are probably shaking their head going, yeah, you know what? My childhood wasn't so good either. So thanks for sharing that. We appreciate that. And look where you're at today, man. You're doing pretty good. So you grabbed yourself by the bootstraps and, just kind of pulled yourself up, and you're doing pretty okay now. How you doing other than eBay? How you doing?
Other than eBay, man, I mean, my social life and just life in general, I think everything's pretty great. The moral of the story is it doesn't matter where you came from. You can always be somebody else. You just can't be stuck in that mindset. You got to be positive no matter what's going on in your life. You can't let that stuff get you down, and you can't blame your past for who you are today, because if I did that, I wouldn't be anywhere right now.
Yeah, definitely. So you came from those troubled times and stuff. So why eBay? What led you into eBay at that point?
Honestly, well, I sold on Craigslist before, and I just kind of got sick of dealing with people. I mean, I live in a small town, about 13,000 people. Town of Chippewa Falls, Wisconsin, and it just gets annoying dealing with flaky people on and on and off. And so, I stumbled upon eBay, watched a couple of videos online between Amazon and eBay, and I was like, I'm going to check out eBay. I'm a really fast typer. I used to be a big computer video gamer, so I was like, I'm going to try eBay, list some stuff. I can throw ads up in a minute or less, and, I really liked the platform and just everything, how eBay worked.
So that's really cool. And you know what? I'm sure a lot of people listening right now are sitting there going, this kid sounds so young, man. How old are you, Luke?
I am 24 years old as of today.
No,
Well,
wow,
happy birthday, man.
Happy birthday, definitely.
No, not as of today. I meant as today.
Oh, right. No, well, he just got us to sing happy birthday for no reason.
We almost got to sing, Ali.
Yeah.
We might have to have him back on his birthday for his
lying.
his
He's lying.
25th birthday.
You know.
I'll be 25 in June. So.
Okay.
All right, I'm writing that down here. We'll have to call you back and sing happy birthday to you.
Yeah, well, you
I don't
will.
know, but anyhow, seriously, so 24 years old is really young, man, especially, you know, with the rough start like that. So, you know, kudos for, you know, getting yourself out of that bad mold there and turning things around. And offline, before we you know, started the show here, you said that you just got approved for a house, right?
Yeah, I'm pre-approved. What I'm actually going to be doing is I'm looking at a commercial and residential property. Obviously, nothing's yet set in stone, but most likely going to happen. And I'm going to actually be opening up my own phone store where I'm going to be buying and selling smartphones and also fixing them. So it's going to be a pretty big leap for me. Nice thing about it is it's a commercial and residential property, so I'll be living there also. So it shouldn't be too much overhead, and it'll be a big step in the right direction.
So how does this phone thing work then? So if I've got a smash screen, or I mean, what do you take? Do you take absolutely any phone and then sell it? Do you?
Absolutely. It doesn't matter the condition. You know, sometimes when a phone's a little bit older, you know, I can't offer very much on them, or I don't take them. But let's say you got an iPhone 6 and the screen's completely cracked. You come in, I'll appraise it off eBay. I'll give you a cash price on it. We come to an agreement. I pay you cash on the spot, have you sign a bill of sale. I get you on your way. It's less hassle than a pawn shop, and I usually pay more too. And pawn shops usually don't take phones with issues.
And you know what? The cool thing about that, Luke, is, you know, a lot of the people that we've talked to that sell on eBay and they buy things that are broken and fix them. You know, when the person that's selling it, you know, all of a sudden, because it's broke, the emotional attachment is pretty much gone from it, right? So, you know, even though it is an iPhone 6 and it's still worth something, you know, to them even, it's not worth as much if it had a pure, you know, screen and everything was fine with it, and they're trying to sell it to you then. Do you have that? I mean, do you realize? Do people realize that you know, the value isn't as much, or do you know, have to haggle a lot?
When it comes to the stuff that's cracked or in kind of, you know, just dismantled or smashed condition, you really don't have to talk a whole lot to them or talk them down, because, yeah, I mean, at that point, when their phone's been smashed, I think by the time they've gotten to me, sometimes they've talked to a pawn shop, or they might have went to those little ATM machines that make offers on phones called Eco ATM. And at that point, when they get to me, they're just like, man, this guy's price it's usually better than the competition. And even if it's not, and I'm, you know, the first guy they went to, like you said, the emotional attachment to the device is pretty much gone. They're like, get this thing out of my pocket or get it out of my drawer because it's been collecting dust, and it's usually pretty smooth sailing.
Yep. And you know what? I got a guy gave me this phone. It's a Samsung. It is a Galaxy S5 Sport right here. Okay, I'm holding it up right now. I know you can't see it when you're listening to this show, but it's water damage, right? Is this thing worth anything?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I buy water damage stuff even if the phone doesn't turn on. You know, I'd ask the customer what carrier is it for, how many gigabytes, and if it doesn't power on, I mean, it's still going to be worth something, you know?
Yeah. No, I wouldn't know what you would use it for, but, you know, hey, it's that's awesome to know. And that's the neat thing about eBay. You know, there's someone going to buy something pretty much every day.
Definitely. I mean, that is a great thing. There's, you know, and you can, someone like yourself who wants to be like an entrepreneur, you can come in, you've got a niche, you've got a genre, and you can go on eBay and you've got the audience for it. So would you go, right, we've had other people on who do things like they go to offices and they get like, you know, old computers and stuff like that. So is that another thing you could do, where you could go around to like own phone shops and get stuff from them and just build on your sort of inventory here, so you got lots and lots of products?
One thing that I've done that I haven't seen a lot of others do is I actually closed a really large deal at a local pawn shop called Pawn America. I went in there, I talked to them, told them what I do. I said, look, I buy smartphones, used, cracked, broken, locked, no matter the condition. And I started talking to the district manager. His name was Adam at the time, and the pawn shop's called Pawn America. It's actually a really big pawn chain. They've got pawn shops everywhere. And we got to talking. You know, he liked what I had to say. And he's like, well, tell you what, let me show you what we got. And I was expecting, you know, like 5-10 phones. And this guy goes into the back. He comes out with this little dolly cart. He's got 4 totes full of phones and iPads.
Nice. And
took me about 5 hours to appraise everything, and it ended up coming to about $12,000 in retail value. That was their price that they had them marked. And what happened is they had a couple employees over a period of months appraise phones wrong, you know, because it's kind of a niche market. There's a lot to know. And they took in about $13,000 worth of inventory. That's what their price tags were marked at. They scanned them all up, and then they discounted them to me for about 92%. I picked up the whole lot for $2,200, and I sold that for around $6,000.
Nice.
So it was a pretty sweet deal.
Wow,
nice.
That is really cool, man. So that's really. So how did you get into cell phones? I mean, and how did you realize? When did you come across the realization that broken stuff sells?
Well, I was actually around 2014, 2015. I've kind of always been a technical guy. Like I said, I've been a big online video gamer, so messing around with technology, having the latest, greatest smartphone has kind of always been my thing. And I just know that with my generation, technology is ever advancing. Phones and computers, I think, are the future, just like everything online, such as Netflix. Netflix put Blockbuster out of business. Phones and electronics are only going to become more and more valuable, in the years to come. So I thought it was a good market to get into, and that's kind of where that came from. As far as the cracked and broken stuff, I met a guy named David a while ago who was my business coach for eBay, and he's actually the one that turned me on to the whole cracked, locked, and broken smartphone industry, because prior to that, I was only buying like new and used phones. I didn't mess with anything that had cracks or anything like that.
It's a huge gold mine there, isn't there?
Oh yeah, definitely. It's a niche, but there's a lot of money to be made, and I'm surprised. I mean, in my area, there really is no competition. Pawn shops like Pawn America got burned for $13,000 worth of stuff. By the way, that was the first deal. I did another deal with them for the same amount a couple months later. So they took in $26,000 worth of bad inventory that they could not sell to the public because it all had issues. And I went in and cashed in. And I think pawn shops don't buy them because you can only train an employee so much, and then if they quit after 6 months and you still haven't trained them all the way, they're still going to be taking in bad phones. So that's why they just don't buy them anymore.
Ron and Ali will be right back after this short break.
Life is full of numbers. Our brains process literally hundreds of numbers and equations every hour of every day. When it comes to your business, give your brain a break as well as peace of mind that the numbers are figuring up as they should with MyCost Pro. MyCost Pro is an easy-to-use automated eBay bookkeeping program for Excel that imports sales data directly from your seller account. MyCost Pro automatically generates accounting and performance reports to show you your true bottom-line profit. You can even view and edit active listing details such as price and quantity, and relist unsold items directly from MyCost Pro. All you need is Excel on your Windows PC. Take control of your business and free up those long nights of crunching the numbers. Visit mycostpro.com for a 21-day no-obligation free trial using coupon code PODCAST, exclusively for So You Want to Sell on eBay podcast listeners. So, you have an idea, a big idea, and you're ready to jump into the world of e-commerce. Awesome. But where to start? The answer is only a click away. At solutionsforecommerce.com, you'll find available services to help manage, audit, or even build your e-commerce site from the ground up. With over 10 years of experience in developing and managing channels on sites like Amazon, eBay, Shopify, and Etsy, Solutions for E-commerce can help you to grow your small or large business. Take Take a step back from the technical and do what you do best, and let Solutions for E-commerce handle the tedious stuff like creating, reviewing, adding, or removing listings, setting up or organizing store categories, even merchandising and customer support. Find out why their clients say that their business wouldn't be what it is today without the help from Solutions for E-commerce. Visit solutionsforecommerce.com and take your e-commerce business to the next level. That's solutions, the number 4, ecommerce.com. Use promo code eBay at checkout for an exclusive So You Want to Sell on eBay podcast discount.
Be sure to check out So You Want to Sell on eBay.com for the latest podcasts and all the information you need to get selling fast.
So are you like a one-man show? Are you listing on eBay? You're doing the whole thing? I mean, how many listings would you put on like a month onto eBay?
I'm a one-man show. When I'm really, really into it, right now I'm moving and such like that, but it can be anywhere from 100 to 150 listings a month. It just depends on what I get. But yeah, I do everything. I do the listing, I do the advertising, everything, yeah.
So are you a buy it now kind of guy? Are you an auction kind of guy? How do you set most of your stuff up?
Everything I sell is buy it now, unless it's a really, really high value item. Like say I bought a iPhone X 64 gigabyte brand new sealed. I might run a 7-day auction on that and wait till the very end, because sometimes what I call it is bidding happy. People, they want something and somebody else outbids them, and then they get pissed off. They're like, oh, I want that item. Like, this dude's not getting it. So they bid the item up and up and up. And there's been times with new phones, you might get an extra $100 than what you might have sold it for buy it now. But most of the time, I'm a buy it now kind of guy. Yeah,
that ego wars, right? The ego wars. Oh yeah. It's 50 cents here. It's a $2 here or whatever. I'm gonna outbid you on it. Yep. That's pretty incredible. So tell us about your day-to-day. I mean, so do you have this certain shops that you go to? Do you have like a routine that you kind of go and check on them? Do they call you? How does that work as far as like your regulars? And I'm not talking about like the Craigslist kind of people, the stores and stuff. Do they have your number and stuff and give you a call?
Yeah, like Pawn America, actually, it's kind of sad, but I mean, I made money, but the Pawn America actually here in Eau Claire actually went out of business about 4 months later after I purchased all those phones. They're a franchise and they have another location about 2 hours away from here. And when I get freed up here in the next few months, I'm planning on giving them a call, probably go up to La Crosse, 2 hours away from here, and see what they have for sale at that store. So there's a couple other smaller pawn shops around here. I've dropped my cards off, and they don't have much for inventory, but I have got good customers from those pawn shops where the pawn shop will say, hey, we don't buy those, but here's this guy's card. He buys them. This is actually what he specializes in. So the pawn shops, they send me leads, and then, if I make a good deal, I'll call the pawn shop up and be like, hey, this guy told me that you sent him my way. The business deal was awesome. And then, sometimes I'll stop by there and I'll give the manager a gift card to a nice restaurant or a gas card, or if the owner's there, same thing, So it's kind of like I scratch your back, you scratch mine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and they don't really want the phones.
No,
they don't.
That's the thing, isn't it? That's the thing, because when you get this phone and it's broken, it's like, it's time for an upgrade or something because the screen's going to cost too much to fix or something. So you're in a sort of place where you're taking those damaged things and then making money off them. I think it's quite a good place to be. So I think we had like Dave Kaziaki or something on here before who used to do something similar to this.
Kosciuszko, that was Luke's coach.
Oh, is it? Oh, okay, yeah. So, I mean, it's what a great sort of industry, because everything's sort of like, now it's like devices of some kind, and they always getting broken.
Oh, yeah. I mean, not to talk about my personal life, but I do talk to a lot of females, and, man, every girl, I'd say almost every girl that I know has got a crack on her phone. The market is booming.
And the funny thing about it is this cell phone craze, man. I mean, it's like you leave the house and you're 2 miles down the road and realize you don't have your phone with you. everybody turns around to get that phone, right? We cannot be without that thing. And, as soon as it's cracked and it's not perfect anymore, it's kind of like every time you go to make a phone and you see a phone call and you see that crack on the screen, it just subconsciously says you're not as good as you once were, It's just, I got to get a new phone. I got to get this one fixed or whatever, So yeah, it's pretty crazy how strapped we are to our phones.
Well, that's why I think the market's so great, and that's why, like I said, I think phones, MacBooks, smartwatches, all of this is only going to be more profitable and more expensive in the future, because there's people out there who drive $800 beaters here in the winter, but they've got a $1,000 iPhone X in their pocket. I mean, their phone is worth more to them than their car, and when they look at their phone, it's just precious, and then their car is just, on the truth of it, his car is just kind of a pile of junk,
That's exactly.
Modern technology, and it's only going to get better for you. So that's great. So where do you sort of visioning yourself in the future then? You mentioned that you're going to maybe get this shop and stuff. Are you going to expand, sell more on eBay, go onto other platforms? What's your thing? My vision is the phone shop that I'm going to be coming up with is going to be called Phone Stop. I've got the domain name, everything all registered. I had a graphic designer brand everything, so everything's going to be kind of, color coded and done right, and I'm going to kind of stick to that color scheme, and I want to brand it, and the under logo is Buy Sell Fix, so it's called Phone Stop Buy Sell Fix, and eventually I want to franchise my phone shop, and I kind of want to branch off and do maybe a couple sister states and see where it goes. But I kind of want it to be the GameStop of phones. That was my whole idea, because there isn't anybody out there really that does that right now. And I want people to have Phone Stop to be their go-to to, I need to sell my phone or I need to get my screen fixed. I want that brand, that name to be out there as is. That's who you go to. They pay the best. They're the best to deal with. And then there is nobody else out there, because that's how it is right now. It's just I don't have a shop. Yeah. So why do you deal with stolen stuff then? I mean, imagine people, in this day and age, they steal stuff. So do they need like evidence to give you this phone, or how does all that work? How I do things, well, first off, in this business, I think you kind of have to judge people by character. You got to be good at reading people, because there's a lot of people out there that are going to shoot you some story that's completely not true. But on top of that, I do have every customer that I buy a phone from sign a valid bill of sale, and they also have to give me their driver's license, and I write down all their information and I sign off on it. Right. Typically, unless we're talking about a really dumb thief, most thieves won't just hand me their ID. When people get sketchy about giving me their ID, usually I don't buy the phone from them.
Yeah, that's a good call.
Definitely.
And like you said, that's a pretty much giveaway. I mean, seriously, not that you need to do anything with that ID, but as soon as they start backing down from that, that's a huge red flag, right? Absolutely. Like example, so I bought a phone from a guy the other day. His story was very legitimate, so I bought the phone. He had an iCloud locked phone. Here's his story. He's a married guy. It was him and his wife. Looked like a very nice professional couple. They had a roommate in their triplex that they were renting. The roommate was in with them on the phone bill, and the roommate stopped paying rent, moved out, left his phone on the table, and left them liable for the bill. Obviously, the guy's a jackass because he didn't pay his rent, left without any notice, and they tried to get a hold of him to get the iCloud off the phone so they could sell it and get some of their money back. Guy wouldn't give him the iCloud. Just a complete jerk, left his phone, whatever. So he came to me with the phone. It was a iPhone 7 Plus. I paid $100 for it. It actually just sold today. It's actually sitting on my desk. The one I showed you earlier sold for $250. So his story was legitimate. He had no problem giving me his ID, anything like that. His story was very legit. He didn't seem sketchy, like somebody that was, possibly into drugs. And, I felt his story, and he was very cooperative with the bill of sale. So I didn't see any issues with that phone.
Yeah, bro.
Well, and plus you got his ID. I mean, if it ever comes back on you, you can, use that, driver's license as, to save you, from that situation, right?
Exactly. Yeah, the driver's license, and that's, once again, anybody giving their driver's license is probably pretty legitimate, or they wouldn't feel confident giving you that. But the driver's license, I have them do that. They sign, and in my bill of sale, it says, are you the lawful owner of this device, or did you come to possess it in a lawful manner? So they sign off on all of that. So basically the liability is on them if it does come back. Obviously, I have all the information. And to this date, I haven't had a single issue with that. I don't think I've ever purchased a phone that's been legitimately stolen. Never had to pursue somebody in court or deal with the whole bill of sale thing. So I think the whole you need an ID works out pretty good.
Yeah, and I would imagine as you start, meeting these people, you start being able to read people a little bit better too, right?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, like I said, this guy, his story was completely legitimate. I've had other people where, I'll call him on the phone, everything sounds good. Then I'll meet him in person. Here's a quick story. I met this one guy in person. Everything was fine on the phone. Okay, yeah, we can meet up. Sure. He sounded legitimate. Everything sounded good. He didn't sound, like an oddball or anything. So I get there. He's got 4 phones for sale. Nothing real high value. So I'm like, okay, maybe they've been sitting around. Then I ask him for his ID. And he wouldn't give me his ID. He wouldn't give me his ID at all. So I said, look, man, I drove out here. You drove out here. I just need to see your ID. It's just for tax purposes at the end of the year. It doesn't go anywhere or anything like that. It sits in my safe at home. He wouldn't give me his ID. So I told him, sorry, I'm not interested in buying the phones, because I got no way to prove who he is. He could give me a fake name and whatever if I don't have his ID.
Yeah, I don't think telling the police that he seemed like a nice guy is going to cover you.
Right.
So will you take any phone? So if I had one of those old Nokias that took 5 people to carry, I mean, would you take one of those? Would you be able to sell it?
Honestly, if I look it up on eBay and I can make a profit, I'll buy it. I'm not opposed.
Love the answer.
Not opposed to looking up old phones.
That's a great answer because, you know what, I'd imagine one of those bag phones is probably worth something now.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say,
Probably
is there like you got vintage, I don't know, paintings, you got all this sort of old stuff. Is the phone industry like that where you got like a really, really old one that it's worth more money?
I haven't gotten too many vintage phones. There's been a few, and they're worth a little bit of money. The phones that I think you're asking about, like flip phones, the ones that are kind of in between vintage and just being old and nobody uses, flip phones aren't worth nothing. I mean, you want to call me and say, hey, I got a flip phone from 8 years ago, and it's got a cracked screen. But you can come recycle it with me because you're not supposed to throw out electronics, but I can't pay you anything for that.
Yeah.
So
true enough.
And can you break it down for parts? I mean, can you do anything like that? Or you ever do anything, or you just fix it and sell it?
As far as the flip phones, or just any phone?
Even like phones. Is it like you can open them up and take out batteries and stuff like that, or it's just too technical and a waste of time taking stuff out of a phone?
Well, on the smartphones that I buy, when I buy like a cracked smartphone, say you gave me a Galaxy S5 with a cracked screen, I actually don't fix them at all. I actually resell them as is, and I appraise them as is. That's how it works. So it's literally I appraise it, pay you cash, get you a bill of sale, and then it goes up on eBay.
Right. Oh, so you don't do anything with it?
Nope. I do fix iPhone screens and iPad screens, but that's a service. It's not something where I'll buy your device and then I'll fix it myself and resell it. There's no point when I can make money as is.
Oh, wow.
Right.
That's brilliant.
Now, it makes good sense. I mean, who wants to spend the time fixing it when when there's enough profit in and just selling it as is?
Absolutely.
Well, this is awesome. I mean, I can't believe how quick this has gone. It's been half an hour already. I mean, Luke, you're again one of these people that we brought on. You're younger, which is awesome. Which is, it just shows that we're getting into this new entrepreneurial spirit where you don't actually have to work for the man anymore, and you can just sort of create your own business. You've been through some tough times. You've come out of that. You come to the other end. So I can vision you being quite successful at this. You've got quite a good mindset behind it. So we're definitely going to have to get you back on again, Luke, when you're out there with your shop and stuff.
Yeah, that would be awesome. I'd definitely appreciate that, guys.
Yeah, no, and it's just great. Thanks for spending time with us. We've really enjoyed it. And it's another product that here's something that people might just have thrown away and be done with, but you've seen a way around it and making some profit from it. So fantastic stuff. We'll post all today's interview notes on our show notes page, which can be found at www.soyouwantasellonebay.com/show notes. Luke, before you leave us, I don't even think we got time to talk about it, but you got like a course or something. What's that all about?
Yeah, well, doing 20 to 25,000 a month on eBay, I figured I'm making good money, and so I figured it's time to teach people exactly what I do. I've got a course, a private Facebook group, and lifetime coaching. You sign up for my course, I teach you my exact methods on how I buy and sell smartphones and electronics on eBay, and you could be making $5, $10, $15, $20,000 a month in no time. I teach anybody out there who's willing to learn. You can be young, you can be old, as long as you got a computer, internet, and you're willing to learn.
Wow, so how do they find you?
You can find me at facebook.com/Mr. MR Deutschlander, which is DEUTSCHLANDER. Facebook.com/Mr. Deutschlander. Send me a Facebook friend request. I'll get you going, shoot you all the info that you need. I got a free group too to get you started, so I even teach people for free. It's not as advanced as my course or my coaching, but I get people going just to show them that the business model really does work.
Wow, brilliant stuff. Okay, so we'll make sure all of those links and stuff are on the show notes page, so go over there and check that out on our website. Thanks, Luke, for spending the time with us. It's brilliant. I hope we get successful and get you back on here again. From everyone here at So You Want to Sell on eBay, I'm Ali Young.
And I'm Ron LeBeau.
That's all for this episode of So You Want to Sell on eBay. Be sure to check out our next episode or any past episodes by going online to soyouwantasellonebay.com. Also, be sure to follow us on your favorite social media sites, facebook.com/So You Want to Sell on eBay, and Twitter at Your eBay Podcast. Thanks for listening, and until next time, happy selling.
Have an idea for a topic or know someone who would like to be on the show? Let us know. Just go to www.soyouwantasellonebay.com/interview. We look forward to hearing from you. This podcast was produced in part by Pro VoiceWorks.